This program contains adult content and partial nudity. Viewer discretion is advised.
Stage 9 at the Fox Studios in Los Angeles. For me, this is a place that holds a lot of great memories. Hi, I'm Jimmy Smits. For several years, I was fortunate enough to be part of something very special here. I played a detective on a show called NYPD Blue. For 12 seasons, a talented ensemble of actors pushed every boundary of the one-hour crime drama. Tonight, we say goodbye to NYPD Blue by telling the story of the show, both the highs and the lows, through the words of the people who were there. We'll relive great memories with the actors, the creators, the writers, and the crew that brought it to life each week. This is NYPD Blue, a final tribute.
There were no rules. There were basically no rules to what the shot was.
It was like actor boot camp.
Nobody even remembers that I was naked.
There was this total backlash from the press.
I just remember going, wow, I'm now a part of this show.
It was worth the difficulty and worth the effort.
Like every great TV show in history, it started as an idea. What if you took a format America was comfortable with, the cop show, and turned up the volume? In the early 90s, Stephen Bochco, the producer of the ensemble cop drama Hill Street Blues, saw the TV landscape changing. Cable was here to stay, and the network one-hour drama was looking tame by comparison. It was time to take some risks.
Drop the gun!
David and I sat down to create a gritty, realistic cop show.
We need an ambulance!
We wanted to ground it in a much firmer reality. New York City Police Department. The bells and whistles were the language and the sexuality.
I heard somebody say recently that any great new idea goes through 3 inevitable phases. The first one is, it's nonsense. The second one is, it's against religion. And the third one is, I was behind it all the time. NYPD Blue certainly went through those moments.
We were under staggering assault from all kinds of quarters, advertising and affiliates, but most intensely from the religious right.
Eventually, ABC and the show's creators came to a delicate agreement on profanity. A dictionary of acceptable words was drafted, along with the number of times they could be used per episode. 37. In 1993, the pilot episode aired, and America met the 15th Squad and Detective Andy Sipowicz.
When we first started this show, the face of television was much more tame than it is now. I remember the first introduction that I had to my beloved on the show.
Hey, Miss District Attorney, you really prosecuted the crap out of that one.
I went with the crap I had, Detective.
She said ipso facto something or other, I'm not sure. And so my delicate response was,
Ipsa this, you pissy little bitch.
and I got to grab my crotch, and to do this on television was such a good feeling. You sure this is going to air? This is going to go on television?
The controversial edginess and the buzz created because of it certainly didn't hurt NYPD Blue. When a new show is launched, any press is good press. But in the age of the short attention span, keeping an audience once you've grabbed them is the tricky part. Fans tuned in week after week because they connected with a reality they hadn't seen before on network TV. What they didn't know was that there was a source for that reality. In the course of his research for NYPD Blue, co-creator and head writer David Milch had met New York City detective Bill Clark. The two became fast friends and spent hours driving the streets of New York together. Clark talked, and Milch, the writer, soaked it up like a sponge. These stories would form the backbone of the show for 12 seasons.
You've heard the expression, God is in the details, and I got to live into the details of what it meant to be a cop.
I was a detective. I loved being a detective. You know, I got very emotionally involved in the cases I worked.
What do we got? It's like sexual assault, strangulation. Oh, God, I knew it.
I talked to people about it at great detail, and sometimes I thought that they didn't care about the emotional impact. They didn't care about the look on somebody's face when you tell them that their son was just killed. And David got all that.
What Bill brings is an attitude, the courage that a cop possesses, and the pride, the absolute pride of a New York City cop.
Bill Clark, the former detective, eventually became an executive producer of NYPD Blue. When we return, NYPD Blue takes off, but then Hollywood realities hit. One of the early trademarks of NYPD Blue is the frenetic camera work. At the time, it was considered revolutionary for a one-hour drama. The director of the pilot, Greg Hoblet, brought this look to the show.
The camera just became the eye of the viewer. Just, I'm over here, I'm over here. And it would flick like eyes do. None of it could be arbitrary. It had to have a logical reason for happening.
There were no rules. There were basically no rules to what the shot was. When I thought I was safe, all of a sudden there was a camera in my face, and I thought, oh, this is going to be interesting. In the second season of NYPD Blue, it looked like the show had weathered the storm of negative publicity, receiving a record 26 Emmy nominations. David Caruso's portrayal of Detective John Kelly made him one of the most popular actors on TV.
Look, I know for a fact that the gun aimed at that cop was not loaded. It was useless.
But it's your edge. And if you use it, you're going to destroy this kid. Now, you know that. Come here, Norman. Okay, I'm getting sick of you. Tell me if this is unloaded or not.
I don't know!
You're right. Empty.
Kelly, you want to sit on a butt like cottage cheese? Be my guest. Meanwhile, I'll be sitting on this.
Even the nudity that had ruffled feathers the first season was becoming acceptable.
I remember the first season, New Yorkers being as subtle as they are, when we'd be on the streets, they'd drive by, yo, Sipowicz, when are we going to see your ass?
Hey! How about you just relax there, pal?
We thought, all right. So we had this shower scene.
For me, the most prominent element about the whole thing is that nobody even remembers that I was naked.
What are you doing?
They were all up in arms about Dennis's ass right there on the screen.
Whoa. I've been living that one down for 12 years now.
And the Emmy goes to Dennis Franz.
But what fans of the hit show didn't know was that big changes were right around the corner. David Caruso announced he was leaving NYPD Blue.
We thought we were making a unique television series of very high quality. What should have been an incredibly happy event for all of us was a really very unhappy event because David Caruso wasn't happy.
The entertainment industry in general is a great eater of popularity, and offers came at David from every direction. And when the second season was about to begin, he came in with a list of demands which were just not realistic.
The show had such promise and such excitement behind it, and yet there was this real issue.
Tell Fancy I'll clean out the locker later, okay?
Stephen and I just looked at each other, you know, and we didn't want to play.
You know, we had a connection, me and him. Some of the most, memorable moments together on the screen for me were with him. I mean, like when I said goodbye to him on the stairs.
Listen, James, I'm leaving the job.
I found him to be very exciting to work with because, he came in ready to score 40 points.
Don't quit, John. Listen, James, you're gonna be okay. Just keep doing what we talk about.
I was concerned like everybody else, but I had faith, and I believed that this thing was bigger than one individual.
With Caruso's departure, Stephen Bochco was in a serious bind.
ABC had only stuck their necks out about 3 miles to get the show on the air.
And we come to him and say, you know, David's gone.
Now, keep in mind, I wasn't aware of any of this. I had known Stephen Bochco from my days on LA Law, but at the time I got the call, I was shooting a film in Morocco. Would I be interested in co-starring with Dennis Franz on NYPD Blue? Like now? I thought about it for about 8 seconds, and I said yes. With guys like Milch and Bochco in charge, I knew this would be the ride of a lifetime. And it was.
This is our locker room. We've had discussion after discussion in here, heartfelt moments. I remember the first time I met Bobby Simone. It was in here. I was trying on a pair of glasses in the mirror. I'm fatoutsed about that, and who walks in but this good-looking tall guy?
Andy Sipowicz.
Oh, Andy, Bobby Simone, good to meet you.
Yeah. Simone comes in and he just shakes hands with Dennis, and he goes out and he finds Fancy. He says, this isn't going to work.
That's not going to work out.
What happened?
Oh, don't get me started. I mean, his attitude's all wrong. How you doing, this type of thing.
He asked you how you were doing?
Yeah.
Sipowicz was able to express the audience's resistance in such an extreme way that the audience wound up saying, hey, give the guy a chance.
Simone's entrance worked. People seemed to like these guys together. And the friendship between writer David Milch and Detective Bill Clark continued to be the source of new storylines and scenes.
One day we were driving home and the Duke of Earl came on the radio. And I started tapping the steering wheel and started singing. The next thing, David's singing.
Stop me now. Cause I'm the Duke of Earl. Oh, yeah.
Actually, in that scene, I drive up in a car and say, what's going on?
What's going on?
Jimmy and Dennis both felt that scene was when they really bonded, when it showed that they were really buddies.
Hey.
Oh, that's real funny.
Let's not get testy.
Yeah. I want to ask this guy to stand up for me. We've become pretty friendly. I think he's a good guy.
Yeah.
As the relationship between Sipowicz and Simone grew stronger, the show evolved, becoming more than just a cop show. New storylines examined life outside the 15th, as other characters emerged. There was Medavoy.
Here's a specimen jar and magazines.
Martinez.
I figured a rose was too much of a statement. An apple won't raise no eyebrows.
Fancy. Sylvia. And of course,
Do you like hockey?
I'm not a huge fan.
Donna.
Donna Abindanto, the one Greg was involved with.
Hi.
Hi. Donna's sweetness and Medavoy's bumbling were just this escape from the precinct and everything going on in it.
There's a great storyline that Medavoy got involved with Gail O'Grady and her sister, played by Deborah Messing.
I'm very attracted to you.
This poor guy had to deal with these two beauties.
I'm all yours, detective.
Oh, boy.
That was a tough day at the office.
Whoa, look at this. I was talking about the Deborah Messing, the Gail O'Grady situation.
You know, I actually talk about that in my sleep. So.
The relationship between detectives Bobby Simone and Diane Russell raised a compelling question. What happens when two cops fall in love while they're on the job?
Pretty proud of yourself there, Diane?
What are you talking about?
Putting yourself in harm's way like that.
I was doing my job.
You're gonna start quoting the book How to Do the Job while you're carrying our baby in your belly.
This conversation does not continue here.
The thing about the show is the characters. They're raw. They have flaws. You know, so people can look into those characters and see themselves in them.
As a token of your promise to him, place a ring on his finger.
There was the one that I was with Jimmy. I come back to his apartment and tell him about my father abusing me. That scene was, just completely emotional.
Something happened, Bobby. I was only 12. I didn't know that would happen. And I don't even think I farted.
In many ways, the characters of NYPD Blue, both then and now, carry ghosts with them. Sometimes they're literal, like when Andy confronts the ghost of his own dead son.
You know who's in the bathroom that I brought with me? Sylvia and the baby.
Think seeing me murdered's gonna make a happy memory?
This is where you were murdered.
Other times, they're the ghosts we all carry with us, whether it's addiction, abuse, or the loss of a loved one.
It's not too bad.
Take care of the baby.
On NYPD Blue, we were given a chance to explore them all. When we return, the show's co-creator faces his own ghosts through the character of Andy Sipowicz.
Let's just say Sipowicz got sober before I did.
Where's Clark?
In his car around the corner. He said to rouse him when you got here.
Detective Andy Sipowicz. It's tough to imagine the TV landscape without him. For 12 seasons, we've watched this guy battle everything from new partners to new bosses to a bottle of scotch. He's intolerant, he's grumpy, and he's exactly the guy you want on your side. Why is that? Well, it's simple. Good writing and Dennis Franz.
It's amazing to watch the sort of very subtle transition from Dennis, who is this sort of easygoing, jovial, fun-loving, charismatic guy, to becoming this other man.
What?
Who is very dark and opinionated and intense, and...
Don't you ever do that again.
He's got that thing.
When I would meet people on the street, they expected Andy Sipowicz.
Okay, I'll tell you. Where? It's a vacant lot down on the Brooklyn waterfront.
Is he gonna smack me? What, I'm the bad guy?
Did I say anything?
When I got this job, I thought, he was the last guy I met. Came to the set and I'm thinking, oh boy, man, this is Sipowicz. I mean, I'm his partner and he's gonna eat me up.
What, you figure you were gonna clear this case on your own? Is that how it works? What are you talking about?
This gruff kind of character, that you look at, and there he is, with the hands outstretched, give me a hug, and hi, Mark Paul.
I mean, I'm pretending to be this.
And then to confess that he watched Saved by the Bell, and I was like, what? This guy?
When was the last time you tried going on a wagon?
When's the last time you tried growing tits?
I was concerned from the very beginning that who is going to give a damn about Andy Sipowicz? This guy was a racist, he was a loose cannon, a womanizer. Who's going to care? I get shot 5 or 6 times. First episode, if I die, so what? So I brought this to the producers, Stephen and David, and they gave me this thumbs up and said, you're going to find a way to make them like you.
I came here to tell you that you're the toughest bastard I ever met. And I'm not counting you out.
If the show is about the redemption of Sipowicz, it's also, from other characters' points of view, it's also how do you sort of navigate the waters around Sipowicz?
Just, you make me feel very anxious.
Yeah? How? How do I make you feel anxious?
And there are some days that are easier than others.
Sipowicz is like this marine crustacean, that you're amazed he can move from one place, to the other. He's got so many barnacles and other growths on him. And yet he's always somehow able, to reach out. And then you see that even a marine crustacean could be a beautiful creature of God.
The character of Andy Sipowicz sprang from the mind of co-creator and head writer David Milch. Milch, an Emmy-winning writer for Hill Street Blues, has always been open about his personal struggles. But artist that he is, he confronted these struggles in his work. For the first 7 seasons of NYPD Blue, the creator, Milch, and his creation, Sipowicz, battled their demons side by side.
Sipowicz is an addict. He's an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic, among other things. Let's just say Sipowicz got sober before I did. He was almost a beacon of hope for me. I was able to enact that daily struggle in Sipowicz.
Do you want people to help you, Andy?
Please help me. Yeah.
Now, I worked with David Milch through my entire run on NYPD Blue, and it's my opinion that his writing is nothing short of genius. I say that now without hesitation, but at the time, the working environment could sometimes be brutal.
Very quiet, please.
David worked at a fever pitch. Day to day, his hands were in every aspect of the process, from producing to editing to writing.
The deeper you get into a disease, the more you tend to isolate. I just didn't like to have to explain anything to anybody. So I would just say, I'll do it myself.
Often we were getting scenes just moments before the cameras rolled. It took its toll. So as much as I loved playing Bobby Simone, once I fulfilled my contract and my commitment to the show had ended, I made the toughest decision I've ever made. I left the show. And once again, the creators stepped up to the challenge.
I never thought I'd make a new friend. Now he's gonna die.
No, you don't know that Bobby is gonna die.
He told me in his eyes.
Very quickly, it didn't become a story about losing a character. It became a story about life, fear, courage, and God.
I'll take care of her.
I think the entire crew was crying that day. Nobody could deal with it emotionally. Tinker and Bill Clark just went, got it, Kim. Understand. You don't want this day to happen.
To lose that exquisite, vital man, well, it was heartbreaking.
Andy's next partner on NYPD Blue was Rick Schroeder.
Squad's upstairs?
Yeah, what do you need?
I'm assigned up there.
So that's what 14-year-olds are wearing now?
A lot of the press were like, what? You're hiring Rick Schroeder for NYPD Blue and to replace Jimmy Smits? It was like scoffing at me.
So at what point do you get a locker in this squad?
Schroeder proved to be tougher than his critics, and the show powered through. But according to the people who were there, season 7 of NYPD Blue proved to be its most chaotic ever.
I wasn't there when supposedly the rumor was it was normal.
People don't believe me. We had call sheets. That's the schedule that we get every day that were just blank.
If you ever done a school play, we were doing a school play, except when we got to the theater, we didn't know what the play was.
Dennis would say, Rick, wasn't always like this.
You'd be called in, and David would start coming up with stuff to do, and he'd develop these scenes as you're there.
People were writing inside their eyelids and on the bottoms of their shoes,
Hey, Baldwin, let's not have any direct or simple communications. Don't say nothing to me I don't have to work on with a decoder ring.
It made me a better actor, because this guy threw everything he could at me, and I handled it. And he made all of us better. I mean, he raised the bar.
It was a very, very stressful, difficult way to work. But the rewards were wonderful when you were able to be a part of David's genius. When he came up with something that was just really so unique and special, it was worth the wait and worth the difficulty and worth the effort to get to.
I cannot live on a day-to-day basis, and I am saying that with honest expression.
Is he okay, Andy? Honest to God? Don't worry about nothing.
After 7 seasons of incredible work, David Milch left the show. Recently, he created the groundbreaking HBO series, Deadwood.
I think we all thought, I certainly did, we can't go on without him. He was so much the show. But it changed, and you know what happened? The writers that he had been working with, the producers that he'd been working with, stepped up to the plate and knew exactly what to do. When he left, they were able then to kind of blossom.
To Danny.
And a fresh start.
Change, it seemed, would always be the operative word for NYPD Blue. The wooden gate of the 15th Precinct has had some pretty amazing faces pass through it over the last 12 years. Yet through it all, Andy Sipowicz, still the walking contradiction he's always been, remains. Every season, the cast and crew of NYPD Blue travel to New York City for 1 week to shoot exteriors for the entire season. They come to shoot and to connect with the city that is, in many ways, one of the stars of the show. But what viewers don't know is that most of the exteriors are shot in Los Angeles, on one street on the Fox backlot.
We've redesigned the street probably about 200 times. Redesigning the street, what it means is that we take every storefront and we do a different storefront, different signage, different vinyls. We'll do different dressing. It could be a leather store one time, it could be a crack house another time, a restaurant, a bar. This is my toy box.
David Milch's departure opened up a new era for NYPD Blue. The show took on a decidedly lighter tone. Perhaps the writers felt like poor Andy had been through enough already. They gave Sipowicz a beautiful wife, a sweet new son, then another, and a hint that maybe things were going to work out for him after all. This opened up creative possibilities that really did bring Andy full circle. After 11 years of fighting his demons, he was now a mentor.
Now, that's not to say that Andy went soft.
My original point is you got a dead Hispanic with no ID, you got this.
Sorry to interrupt. When I first came in, I don't think I was very much accepted by Sipowicz. You know, he's had a little bit of the racist thing happening, and...
Yeah, INS does what they want when it comes to illegal aliens. No due process, nothing.
Does the word illegal mean anything to anybody anymore?
Soon after, though, there was that episode that really brought it home for me when he said that I was part of the family.
The squad sticks together, we're a team. You're on the team.
Lieutenant Thomas Bale, how's everyone doing today?
I've heard the name Bale from Internal Affairs. You related?
That's me.
We needed some juice this last season, and we got it in the form of Bale, Lieutenant Bale. Time to start covering your ass to be right about now, guys.
I like to know everything that's going on in my squad, so keep me informed to the minute. They were sort of what they call a rogue squad, and they sent me there to rein things back in and have them, you know, do policing by the books. Knowing that Andy has, you know, in other words, been running the squad, to sort of come in and go, no, not anymore. I'm taking over, and this is the way it's gonna be. So that only led to conflict.
We got a system here.
It's changed, and you better change or you better leave.
Curry Graham plays the Lieutenant Bale so wonderfully. He's a real pain in the ass.
Do you remember an announcement I made earlier about being kept up to the minute?
The fish are listening. Might be a problem with the water.
Who handles that?
I do.
Oh, keep me informed. After the first couple of scenes, we were like, okay, this is good. This is fun. You know you're over 500 miles past due for an oil change?
I didn't know that.
That sure gets into the shop.
Yes, sir, Lieutenant. When Mark Paul Gosselaar came on the show in the form of Detective John Clark, he brought a wonderful addition to the show.
Wasn't a very nice thing to do.
And this character finally presented us an opportunity for us to see manifestations of a younger Andy Sipowicz in development. I'm recognizing traits in him, or my traits, when the world first met Andy Sipowicz.
Give me those damn keys!
You're in no condition to drive, John. You want to stay here and keep making an ass out of yourself? Get home by cab.
You're so screwed up, I don't know if you realize it.
This last season, Mark Paul has been in dilemmas that I've tried to help, and his refusal to allow me in sometimes I can relate to.
You lost your temper because you're hungover. I had 2 beers last night. Then you're sleep-deprived and sour because of the whores and staying out all night.
Andy, whores was you. I'm plucking off secretaries.
It don't matter.
Yes, it does, because it's worse. Everything you did was worse. But tell me how to fix my life, you're a hypocrite.
By virtue of his own experience, having wrestled lifelong with demons, Sipowicz understands that you can't parent somebody who doesn't want to be parented.
Listen, John, I don't want to work with you no more.
You gonna dump me as a partner over this?
Yeah.
Shame on you. You're cutting me loose for nothing. Huh? I'm having a tough time. You don't want to deal with it, so here's your easy out. Yeah, well, good. You don't want me as a partner? I don't want you as a partner.
And if that means that you fall on your face, then you fall on your face.
As the show evolved and changed over the years, I kept up by watching it. You see, I was still a fan, which is why I was so honored when Stephen Bochco called again and asked me to return to reprise the role of Bobby Simone in a new way.
Hey.
We were able to bring Bobby Simone back in to show him the way to reconnect with this young man who he loved like a son.
John, your family.
You are going through an unusual time.
Tell me about it. The ghost of Simone comes and puts me back on track, saying, help him. That's your job now. You have become the father. You have become the helper and not the one that needs the help.
When the kids are at their worst, that's when they need you the most.
It was thrilling to be down there and watch it and seeing everybody kind of crowding around and watching those two guys. We'd all of us forgotten what a remarkable duo Dennis and Jimmy were together.
How come I'm so afraid, Bobby? I think they wrote it right. I think we performed it right. I think it was done beautifully, and I loved seeing him back. I miss you, partner.
I miss you too. God bless you.
It's hard for me to believe that it was 12 years ago when I first stepped on the stage, and I looked around like a young kid, being so happy that all this was going to be our play box and we were going to be able to play in this for a while.
May I feed your fish?
Be careful. My fish that have been a constant source of Sipowicz's enjoyment. We've had great storylines that Sipowicz has had relating to his fish.
Whose fish tank is that?
Mine. I got a clownfish, just had eggs.
Well, Loach's belly up.
He made us laugh.
All right, that's enough being a wise ass, you hear me?
Well, maybe you could transfer those to your home tank.
I ain't moving them fish. This door, we've gone in and out of for so many times, and it holds a special place in my heart because during one particular episode where I get into a battle with Arthur Fancy, I went up like this, and bam, my fist went through this supposedly tempered glass, sliced my forearm. I was rushed to the hospital, spent a night in the hospital, down to the bone. It was very serious, many stitches.
Where's the first aid kit?
In honor of my elbow and everything, I think I'd like this door to come home with me. This gate, I think, is on the list of things that I would like to take from the set. And I've asked my wife, can we find a place where she says, we will absolutely find a place for our gate.
This February, the current cast and crew of NYPD Blue began work on their final episode, number 261. Think about that for a second. 261 hours of investigating and interrogating, 261 hours of words written, acted, and produced, 261 hours of perps, skells, lawyering up, and reaching out. It's a pretty impressive feat. Here's what it was like on the set of NYPD Blue as they shot their final episode.
Speeding? Hey, Mark.
And action.
We're leaving now, Sarge.
Yeah, okay.
We're sorry if we lost anything up.
Don't worry about it. Everything came out fine.
Cut.
We are shooting our last scene. What is the last scene of the show? We're not shooting out of order. The last scene we're shooting will be the last scene that anybody ever sees.
Let's make this nice and...
This is our last day of shooting, and it's kind of hard to deal with. It's a happy thing in a way because, you know, it's kind of like graduating high school. We all go on. It isn't anybody's last show or anything, but it's the end of the group, and that's a tough one.
I have a feeling when the moment comes, I'm going to be a mess.
No, hold on.
You have to push the button.
Okay, hold on. It really hasn't quite sunk in yet, the fact that it's over. I guess I'm in a little bit of denial, but I'm leaving such a great show. It's going to be difficult to find that.
You know, 12 years really spans a generation. When I look at photographs from when we won the Emmy in 1994,
Dennis Franz.
everybody was so young. Everybody was so young.
Stephen Bochco and David Milch called and asked me if I would be interested in doing another cop show. So my first thank you would be to myself for having a sense to say yes.
It just gives me such a sense of a sweep of time.
I've been coming here for 12 years, and to realize that I'll never come here again, it's kind of heavy.
Camera action. And cut. Cut.
Everybody on this crew treated this show like it was a family. All right.
All of us. I mean, man, we did it together. 12 years is a long time. And there's one other person who's the heart and soul of this program, Dennis Franz.
These last few weeks, having to relive so much of the show from the very beginning, to go back 12 years to remember so many things that you have forgotten. Man, we've had some great moments and great memories.
We got actors that are rap. I think we got Bonnie Somerville. Jacqueline Oberdor, ladies and gentlemen.
It's hard to put into words. It's been almost 4 great, wonderful years with some great people. It's going to be something that I'll hold very dear in my heart for a long time, and hope that I get to work with some of these people again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Proctor.
This show, it's meant so much to me. You know, it's been life-changing. This has been a great experience.
I'm not sure we can forget Henry Simmons.
It's the people, you know, these people that have as a family.
Mark Paul Gosselaar.
I'm gonna miss playing a cop. I'm gonna miss, you know, putting on my gun in the morning and my badge and my cuffs.
I'm really gonna miss this family. I think that one of the hardest things is going to be leaving this character, you know, not being able to see him every day.
On 3.
I can't imagine a better working experience than what I've had here. It's just been a great 12 years.
I think if you really look at the 12 years of this show, it's about change. You can either embrace it or you can resist it, but it's coming. People change, but they change reluctantly and in the tiniest of increments. And yet, when you look at the 12-year tapestry of the show, you can track the changes, and the changes are significant.
We're moments away from the final episode of NYPD Blue. But first, the cast has a few things that they'd like to say to you, the audience.
This has been one hell of a blessing for me. And I want to thank all of you as well for supporting us and for giving us so much love for 12 years and me for 6 years here.
You people have stuck with us and have embraced all the new characters. We have such a loyal fan base, and we're going to miss you all.
Thanks for sticking with us. Hope you've enjoyed it, and there's one more left.
would never have been done without the loyalty of you guys. And it has been our pleasure. Thank you. Thank you one and all.